Hurst. I am here in the Academic Affairs office at System. So my role, one of my roles, is to process all four campuses program creation, so new degree programs and changes to existing programs, creation of certificate programs, all that fun stuff goes through me, and then it goes to the state, gets their blessing, and then comes back to you guys. And what I'm going to go through is that whole process, because I've been here almost 3 years, and it's just like really confusing at times. So MDHE just went through a major overhaul of their process, so I thought it was a good time to kind of clarify how our process fits in with their process, so that you guys can figure out how your process fits in with our process, and everybody's got fantastic processes and everything is just great. So with their overhaul, they've come out, many of you may have seen their definitions and their process, and so they have 3 different categories of review. They have a staff review, a routine review, and a comprehensive review. So for the system, we will only ever be within the staff review and the routine review. The comprehensive review was created for the other guys, so that they're not kind of coming into the system's degree delivery space. So the staff and routine review are pretty much on the same timeline, and I'll go through that when we get there, but this is going to speed things up for you guys, whereas we would have to wait for the MDHE's the 5 or 6 times a year where they look at program changes and creations and all that stuff. We're now on a monthly cycle. And I'll get to that in detail in a little bit, but it should speed things up quite a bit, which I think is going to be lovely for everyone. So let me go ahead and go to, well, hold on. There we go. All right, so there are 6 phases a new degree program goes through from you guys to system before even going to MDHE. So that's what I'm going to talk about first. This is new degree programs. So you will receive, so when I say you, I'm mostly referring to the provost office, because that's kind of who we receive all these things from. So however it comes about, the author, the faculty member who's proposing it, it has to go to the provost office. They start with a preliminary proposal. We have a template for this. It's on our site, and I can give you those links after we're done. But there's a template. It's kind of a basic, like, high-level look at the program to see, is it financially viable? Is it a good idea? Is it a duplicated effort? Just kind of a checks and balances before the author gets too far into putting it together. So we have a preliminary proposal. It goes with the template. It's got to come to the provost office, and it has to show campus approval. So part of this campus approval is the financial piece. Each campus has a financial office, and we have a template. We're actually working on brand new templates that are easier to work with and navigate. So we'll have those hopefully soon. But we need to see that it's not going to cost $5 billion for this new program. You know, basic financial viability. The next thing that happens is Steve will review that. Steve Graham here in our office, he'll review that and make notes. What's missing, what do you need to focus on, what to really hone in on during the full proposal. At that point, he might say, is this a good idea? He might come back to the provost office and say, let's talk about this a little bit more. I need to have more information on why you have felt this was a good program to go forward. That does happen sometimes. And then the author, if it's given the go-ahead, then it'll go to the full proposal timeline. And that has a template as well on our website. And essentially, that template asks a lot of questions that the system wants to know, as well as questions that MDHE is going to want to know. So it's a pretty thorough proposal, but it covers all the bases so that you don't have to come back when it's time to go to MDHE or the board and add more information. It's got to come back to the provost office, and it needs to show continued campus approval. So between the preliminary and the full proposal, provost office still thinks it's a good idea. There's likely to be some back and forth at this point, so Steve may come back with a bunch of edits. You know, this doesn't need to be in there, the board doesn't want to see all that, or that kind of thing. And so we'll go back and forth a couple times before it's, okay, let's go ahead. We will, I'm going to take a little segue, because sometimes we have to from this point, go and get an external review, which only happens with doctoral programs. So masters, bachelors, all those things don't have to go through an external review, but doctoral programs do have to go. We ask the author for reviewers outside of the UM institution. We get 5 or 7 names, and we reach out to them, and, you know, if they have time to do it or if they want to, we'll then work with them. We usually give them about 3 to 4 weeks to review it, and they get a stipend for doing that for us. And then, so it's either gone from full proposal to campus review, or it'll stop off in the external review wheelhouse, and then it goes to campus review. So this is where we kind of package it up as it's been approved by Steve and the author. Everybody's kind of pretty happy with it. We send it out to all 4 campuses to let everybody, we send it to the chancellors and the provosts, and we let everybody kind of review it, make sure it's not stepping on any toes, or make sure that, you know, any questions can get answered before it goes to the board. I haven't seen a whole lot of times where it's been shot down by the other campuses, maybe twice in my 3 years here. And then, so during this period, the campuses have 21 days to comment. They submit their comments back to us. Sometimes it's something easy for the author to fix. It's not like a deal breaker. The author can go in and change that, at which point we would get it ready for the board. The board meets 6 times a year, sorry. So, and timing on that is still going to be the way it was, that we can't change. But as long as the campus review comes back clean and it's complete 3 or more weeks prior to the next Board of Curators meeting. So like the next one coming up is in September. I don't know why September's not on there. They maybe have changed the dates. But 3 weeks prior to the next Board of Curators meeting. So the next one is at the end of September. We just had the cutoff on August 16th, I believe, for that deal. So we have 2 programs going to the Board of Curators this next one. The next one would be, let's say it's December 15th. So we need to have campus review done and clean and ready to go by, what would that be, the beginning of November, sort of. So you get kind of the timeline of that. And then say that it was, I'm going to go to the next. So that's the phases system before it even goes to MDHE. My next slide will be once it goes to MDHE. All right, so Board of Curators approves it, love it, it's amazing. We get an official approval from the Board of Curators office that says they approve it. I would then send that back to the provost office. The author would then go in, or the provost office, whoever gets short straw, I guess, on that, would have to go in to the MDHE online form. With their changes, they've made the new program form online. And I'll show you what those look like in a minute, and I'll tell you where to find them at the end of the presentation. So they would go in, and like I said earlier, everything we ask in our proposal is covered, is part of everything that MDHE wants to know about is part of our proposal. So it shouldn't be more than a copy and paste job. Shouldn't take too long. Once it's all been blessed by everybody, it should just be super easy. Then it comes to me, and then I submit it to MDHE. They do their thing. I'll do some processing on my end. They'll do their thing and send it back to me. At which point I do a little bit more processing on my end, and then I funnel it back to the provost office. And it's their responsibility to get it to the appropriate people on campus, departments, chairs, author. I usually copy the author so that I can congratulate them on making it through. But the timeline is as such. So I get it by the 15th of, let's say, looking at this month. So 2 days ago was my cutoff for submitting programs that would go to MDHE for review and approval in September. So I submit them by the end of August. MDHE reviews them in September. MDHE notifies me that they've been approved in October, and then I let you guys know. So it's down to a 3 month, 2 to 3 month turnaround from what could have been 6 months at kind of the peak lag between MDHE meetings. All right, so next, this is just a quick shot of, it's a 5-page form for the new program. It's obviously more involved than the changes, so there's more to enter. But it's an online thing. You can just enter your information. You're gonna, instead of submitting it, because it has to go through our office, you're just gonna save that. Once you get all the information in there, you'll save it. You may have some additional attachments to include, probably not for MDHE. This is probably all that they want to have. You'll save it, submit it to me, and then I take it from there. So that is new degree programs. I may have oversimplified it, so it's there's still some, vagueness to parts of it, but we're working on clearing all that up, and I'm learning new things every day, even though I've been here doing this for 3 years. Okay, what I want to talk about next are program changes. So there's an existing program, you want to change something to it. How do you do that? First of all, what constitutes a program change that has to go, up the chains? And I'll go through each of these on the next slides, but just as a list, a change in title or nomenclature, a change to the zip code, deleting or inactivating a program, adding or removing options, some of you call it emphasis areas, change of address, closing a delivery location, combining existing programs, creating a certificate program, which seems like it's a new program, but it goes through as a change. I don't know why. That's MDHE's call. And then a change to curriculum. Those are the major things that will happen on a program change form. All right, to go into a little more depth on each one of them, just real quick, a change to title and nomenclature. So title indicates the name of an existing program, or option or certificate. So, for example, you're changing the BS Parks, Recreation, and Tourism to BS Parks, Recreation, and Sport. That's a title change. Or it could be the change of an option. So say this program has 4 options and you're changing one of the titles to it. That has to go through as a title change as well. Nomenclature indicates kind of the type of degree. So recently, an example, the Master of Entrepreneurial Real Estate, the MIR program has changed to MS Entrepreneurial Real Estate. So that's kind of, not much has changed within the program curricular-wise and all that good stuff, just the degree type. Okay, change to zip code. A zip code is a classification of instructional program, and it's created by the National Center for Education statistics under the Department of Education. So it's created way high up. We have no control over these. They change from time to time, and nobody tells us if a zip code has been removed from inventory. We're just supposed to figure that out. So possible reasons for a zip code change are the program has kind of morphed and changed and better fits within a different category. That could be one option. Or a zip code is removed from the inventory. And again, those are usually discovered after they've been removed. So that's the zip code change. Deleting or inactivating a program. So degree programs and certificates may be deleted or inactivated. And I'll get to options later, but they cannot be inactivated. Options go from existing to not existing. Deletion removes the program completely. There should be no students in this program if it's being deleted. So a lot of times it'll go from inactivation and you'll do a teach out of those students, and then later on, once you have no students in the program, it gets deleted. Inactivating a program, like I said, it happens if it's being phased out. There's a 2-year inactivation period by HLC standards, but MDHE has 5. I don't know why they can't get along and speak the same language, but that's what it is, and that's what it is. So MDHE says that students in the program with less than 2 years, and that may be where the HLC ties in, less than 2 years of coursework left can complete it, but no new students will be admitted to the program after it's in inactivation mode. A program can be reactivated from inactive status if done so within the 5-year window, MDHE window. But if deleted, it has to be created from scratch. Adding or removing options, aka emphasis areas. So these are kind of, subcategories under the parent program. If more than 4 to 5 courses are being created for a new option, that may be deemed necessary to create a new program. MDHE that raises some flags at MDHE. Options will always have the same zip code as the parent program because they are to be they're supposed to be that closely related to the parent program, and that's an MDHE rule, not mine. Options, like I said, cannot be inactivated. They either exist or they don't. So there's no teach out necessarily for an option in that case. Change of address. This refers to change of address for the program's delivery, not to be confused with the change of mode of delivery, so online, campus, and so on. Mode of delivery does not need to go through MDHE, but systems should be notified. Closed delivery location. So physical delivery location is being closed. MDHE needs to know if there's a new location. There also will likely be some programs that are being deleted or moved to another location, and that MDHE needs to know that. Combination of programs. So this refers to a mechanical combination of 2 or more existing previously separate programs. For example, this happened in like 2003, I believe. The MS in Fisheries, Wildlife Sciences, Forestry, Parks, Recreation, and Tourism, Soil, Environmental, and Atmospheric Sciences, all combined to be the MS in Natural Resources. So not a whole lot of curricular changes happened outside of elimination of duplications. So if there is a whole lot of curricular changes outside of elimination of duplication, this will raise a flag with MDHE where it might be required that a new program be created. Okay, creation of a certificate program. So there's undergraduate and there's graduate certificates. This is where it gets fun. Undergraduate certificates, there's 3 kinds. A C0 is a single semester completed in less than 1 year. Well, what does 1 year mean? It's kind of subjective, whatever. This may be a standalone or part of an existing parent degree program. That's MDHE's rule. Your campuses may have different rules on standalone versus parent program, so keep that in mind. C1 is a 1-year certificate completed in 1 year but less than 2 years. This is developed from an approved parent degree, or it will have to complete the new degree program documentation. So it needs to either be under a parent degree or it's a standalone and it has to go through way more detail. A 2-year certificate, generally completed in 2 years but less than 4 years. I don't think our campuses have a whole lot of these. Graduate certificates, MDHE doesn't currently have any like real guidelines around length of these. So like when I was working with MU and Leona, they have kind of a range for theirs. So I think it could be campus to campus. But this is a master's level courses, but less than a master's degree. Okay. Change to curriculum. If a change includes substantive curriculum or program goal changes, it may be necessary to show more documentation to go through the new program process. That's that 5 pages of information. What is substantive? That is an excellent question, and it is not defined by MDHE in any sort of meaningful way. Examples include, but are not limited to, a change in overall credits or goals, deletion or replacement of courses, primary mode of delivery change to audience, and so on. So MDHE's rule of thumb, which I'm not really sure how helpful this is if it's more than 10% of a program that's changing, it may be considered substantive. Super vague, I know, but it's going to kind of be a provost office call, whether, when it comes to them, they'll have to kind of look through and say, this is totally, 1% of the curriculum is changing. That's not substantive. I'm not going to even worry about it. If it's a major change, then it needs to probably go through the process. So that's kind of the most vague part of this process or type of change. All right, so those are the types of changes that go through a Form PC, which is the 1-page form, and I'll show you a picture of it in a minute. Okay, so how to correctly submit your changes. So dhe.mo.gov is where you'll find the forms. They have Word document versions and PDF, like fillable form PDF files. Either way, you're gonna fill it all out, all required fields, including the signature line, must be completed in order to avoid delays in processing. You'll save that document to your computer and then send it on to me with any supplemental information that's required. In the next slide, I'll show you any supplemental documentation that is required. Okay, so what to submit under all the different categories. You can see everything but the new program goes through on a Form PC. That's what we call it in the biz, but it's a program change form. The title, nomenclature, zip code, delete, inactivate just needs to have a rationale. So that can be just a Word document that says we're deleting this program because there are no students, or we're changing the name because the name is silly and we want it to be a new name. Zip code, it's not in the inventory anymore, we're changing it. Basic. Adding or removing options, it needs to have the before and after curriculum. So Master of Science in Agriculture, current curriculum, and propose new curriculum with the existing and proposed options. So kind of a before snapshot and an after snapshot. Change of address, there's actually a little field on the Form PC where you can just add that address. That one's really easy. Closed delivery location, it'll be a Form PC. You'll need to provide a list of the programs that will be deleted or moved from that location, and like where are they going, or if they're being deleted, there will be a form for each of those programs that are being deleted. Combination of programs, Form PC, a rationale. So we're combining these programs because there's lots of duplication and we want to narrow it down and just have one, whatever your reasons are. Curriculum for each program being combined plus what it's going to be in the new world. Certificate program, you need the name and zip code of the parent degree if it's attached to a parent degree, and the curriculum for that certificate. A curriculum change, you need the before and after curriculum plus a summary of what is changing. So this would be, you know, the credit count is changing, or the overall goal is changing, or whatever's changing. It needs to just be outlined in a document, just a Word doc. And then the last one is for new degree programs. That's the preliminary, full proposal, board action approval, and the new program form data for MDHE. So there's a lot more with that one, but all right. This is what the new Form PC looks like. I am not pleased with the changes they've made, but that's fine. They didn't ask for my opinion. So again, they have a Word document or a PDF where you can just check box. If you click public there, it drops down all the public institutions, so you can just select yours. After you've filled in all the information and had it signed, if you can do it electronically, you'll hit save, send it to me through email. And then the last slide, and we should have plenty of time for questions, is the turnaround time. So I kind of talked about this earlier with the new degree programs. It's the same turnaround time for the changes. So for example, everything that I received through this Tuesday, the 15th, will be submitted to MDHE by the end of August. September will be when they review and approve it, and you'll receive notification in October. So this has just started. July was the first month they were doing this. So I think they're a little backlogged. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'll start hounding them when it becomes longer than I'm comfortable with having you wait. But it should be the month after they review it and approve it, we get the letter. I send those letters out, and you guys can notify your people. So anything received after Tuesday this week will go to them by the end of September, be reviewed in October, and you'll be notified in November, and so on. So it's a monthly cycle. And this assumes that everything has been submitted correctly and no back and forth has been required. So once I get the form and it's spick and span, that's when the clock starts on submitting it to MDHE. So those are my slides. Let me get back to the other screen, and this would be the time where you can either put a question into the chat, or I'm not sure I want to unmute. I'm going to go ahead and unmute, and if you have a question, you can go ahead and ask. Okay, so we should be unmuted if anybody has a question. No questions? Wow. Okay, well, that seems strange. All right. Well, if nobody has questions, then I will go ahead and give you 30 minutes of your life back. And so I did record this. I will send out the slides to everybody that attended. And then I also have kind of a packet that kind of goes to this as well, that you can share with people in your office. Eventually, I kind of want to distribute this to the faculty level, so that they know kind of what to expect. I think oftentimes there's an expectation that they submit it and it happens immediately, that it gets processed, but there is some back and forth that has to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'll let you all know where this has been posted so you can share with your friends. And otherwise, thank you guys for taking the time to learn more about this lovely process. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Jessie.
Yeah.